You heard that Eliza froze with the rag still in her hand, water dripping onto the wooden floor behind her. The ranch house was too quiet except for that voice again, soft like it was inside the walls. Eliza whispered. No one answered. She stepped closer to the bookshelf where the sound came from and pressed her ear against the wood. It felt cold, wrong, like it had been sealed for years. Then it came again, her name, Eliza, but not from outside, from inside the wall. She pulled back fast, breath caught in her throat. Stop, it said again, slower, heavier, like something learning how to speak. Harlan walked in, boots heavy on the floorboards. He saw her face and stopped talking immediately. What are you doing? He asked. Eliza did not look away. There is someone inside that wall, she said. Harlan laughed once, sharp and empty. No, there is not. Eliza leaned in again. The voice did not stop this time. It whispered, help me. Harlan saw her change her face, her breath slow. You heard it, she said. He stepped forward, too quick, too controlled. Don't listen to it, he said. Eliza turned to him. Why are you scared? He paused just for a second too long, then stepped back. You're done for today, he said, but the wall knocked once, slow like a heartbeat. Eliza didn't move. Harlan grabbed her arm gently but firm. Don't open that door, he said. Her eyes locked on the bookshelf again, because it wasn't a wall anymore, it was a hiding place, something breathing inside. Eliza pulled her arm free slowly, and Harlan did not stop her this time. He only watched, like he was waiting for something to happen again. The bookshelf creaked when she touched it, and the sound made Harlan flinch just slightly. She pressed harder, and the wood shifted a fraction of an inch, like it had been loosened from the inside, not the outside. Harlan spoke low. Now, Eliza, stop it. She shook her head. No, I want to hear it again. Then the voice came back, but this time it was clearer, almost close, like someone standing right behind her. I know you, it said. Eliza stepped back, breath shaking. Harlan moved fast, now closing the space between them. Enough, he said sharply, and then from inside the wall 3 knocks, slow, deliberate, like a warning. Eliza stared at Harlan and saw something break in his eyes. Just for a second, he whispered under his breath, no. Again, Eliza heard it clearly this time, and she knew whatever was inside the wall was not just calling her, it already knew her. Harlan turned suddenly toward the bookshelf and shoved it back into place. Too hardwood, scraping like a scream. He locked his jaw. Don't you ever touch that again. Eliza said nothing. She just kept staring at the wall, now perfectly still, like it had never spoken, but she knew it had. Harlan stepped away fast, too fast, and said, this is over for today, Eliza. But as he walked out, the last thing she heard was not his boots, it was the wall again, whispering her name like it had been waiting for her longer than she had ever been alive. Eliza stood still long after he left, her hands slowly clenched as the sound faded and then returned, softer, deeper, like breathing through it. She leaned in one last time and whispered, I am here. And the wall answered with silence that felt alive, not empty, but somewhere inside that silence something shifted, like it had finally heard her fully and decided she was not supposed to leave anymore. From that moment the house knew her too well to forget her name. Eliza came back to the wall before she was supposed to. The house felt different now, like it had learned her footsteps. The air near the bookshelf was heavier than before. She stood still and listened. Then it came. 3 knocks. Slow. Same rhythm as before. Eliza whispered, I hear you. A faint reply slipped through the wood late. She stepped closer. Her hand hovered over the shelf. Behind her mind, Harlan's voice still echoed, don't open that door. She ignored it. Eliza pressed her ear to the seam again. The wall answered, too close now, too human, too broken, too late, it said. Her breath stopped. Who are you? She whispered. Silence came first, then breathing like someone trapped on the other side. Eliza pulled back but did not run. Instead, she pushed the bookshelf slightly. It resisted, then gave a little. A thin crack of darkness appeared, like an eye opening. From behind her came footsteps. Harlan. His voice cut the air. What are you doing here? Eliza did not turn. There is something in the wall, she said again. Harlan moved fast. Now, no, there isn't. Eliza finally looked at him. Then why does it know my name? He froze just for a moment, too short to hide. That moment told her everything. Harlan stepped closer. Enough of this. Eliza shook her head. I heard it again, it said late. Harlan's jaw tightened. Don't listen. Eliza snapped back. Then stop it from talking. Silence hit the room. Then the wall knocked again, but harder this time. Harlan flinched. Eliza saw it clearly now. She pushed the shelf again, and this time a seam gave way, deeper wood splitting slightly, revealing something behind it, not just space but a stair edge going down. Harlan rushed forward and grabbed her wrist. Stop it. Eliza pulled free. Don't touch me. His voice dropped lower than before. You don't understand what that is. Eliza leaned toward the crack again, and the voice returned clearer, now almost amused. I know you. Eliza stepped back, shaking. No, you don't. Harlan whispered under his breath, no, 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 like he had heard it before. Eliza caught it. What did you say? Harlan stepped away too quickly. Nothing. But the wall knocked again 3 times slower, heavier, like a heartbeat learning rhythm. Eliza turned to Harlan. Then tell me the truth. Harlan didn't answer. Instead he moved to the bookshelf and shoved it back into place hard, like sealing something alive. Wood groaned in protest. Stay away from it, he said sharply. Eliza stared at him. You're lying. Harlan's eyes darkened. You want truth, you don't open that. Eliza stepped closer. Then why does it know my name? Harlan finally looked away. Because it knows everyone, he said quietly. The room went still. Then from inside the wall a whisper again, not to Eliza but through her name like it was inside her ear. Eliza, stay. She froze. Harlan grabbed her arm again. We're done here. Eliza didn't move. The whisper came again, softer, almost pleading. Harlan pulled her toward the door, but Eliza kept looking at the bookshelf like it was looking back. As she left she heard it one last time, 3 knocks from inside the sealed wall, and then her name again, but this time it sounded like a memory being forced into shape. The sound did not leave her even after she stepped away from the wall. Harlan walked ahead, but his pace was no longer certain. Eliza looked back once and the bookshelf seemed slightly open again, just a fraction, like it was breathing. Harlan said nothing this time, only pushed her forward harder into the hallway, and Eliza realized the house was not finished with her yet, not even close. Eliza felt the walls listening again, like they had never stopped watching her, and she knew turning back would no longer matter anymore. Something had already chosen her. Eliza couldn't sleep after what she heard. The house felt louder at night, not with sound but with presence, like every wall was remembering her. She sat on the edge of the narrow bed in the servants' quarters, staring at her hands. The knock was still in her head, slow and patient. Then Jonah came in without warning, closing the door behind him too fast. You shouldn't be awake, he said. Eliza looked up. I wasn't asleep. Jonah glanced at the hallway. You been near the office? Eliza stood. Why does everyone keep asking me that? Jonah stepped closer, voice lower. Because things disappear in this house when people start asking questions. Eliza didn't blink. Like the women? Jonah stiffened. Don't say that out loud. Eliza stepped past him. Then tell me where they went. Jonah grabbed her wrist, not hard but urgent. You don't ask that here. Eliza pulled free. I already did. Silence hit between them. Then Jonah whispered, they don't leave. They get written out. Eliza froze. Written out of what? Jonah hesitated too long. Records. Memory. Everything. She stared at him. Who does it? Jonah shook his head. You don't want that answer. Footsteps echoed in the hall and Jonah stepped back quickly. Just stay away from the office, he said, and left. Eliza didn't stay away. She moved through the house when it was quieter, when Harlan's voice wasn't filling the halls. The office door was not locked. That alone felt wrong. She pushed it open slowly. Inside smelled like old paper and iron. Drawers lined the walls, all labeled in neat handwriting that felt too controlled to be real. She opened the first one. Names. Women's names. Some crossed out. Some burned at the edges. Some just gone halfway through a line, like someone stopped writing mid-thought. Eliza whispered, no. She opened another drawer. Same thing. Then another. Her breath got faster. Behind her, a voice. You shouldn't be in here. Harlan. She turned slowly. They were here, she said. Harlan stepped inside, closing the door behind him. You're seeing things. Eliza held up a paper. This isn't nothing. Harlan didn't look at it. Put it back. Eliza stepped forward. These women, where are they? Harlan's jaw tightened. Gone. Eliza shook her head. No one is gone without a trace. Harlan finally met her eyes. In this place, they are. A floorboard creaked above them. Eliza looked up. Harlan didn't. That told her more than words. It's not just the wall, she said quietly. Harland exhaled like he was tired of fighting something he couldn't win. You should stop digging. Eliza stepped closer. Or what? Harland's voice dropped. Or you start hearing more than your name. Eliza didn't back down. I already am. Silence stretched. Then from somewhere deep in the house came it again. 3 knocks. Not from the office wall this time. From beneath them. Jonah's voice echoed faintly from the hallway, calling someone's name, but Eliza couldn't hear it clearly anymore. The sound under the floor repeated, slower, heavier. Harland finally moved, stepping between her and the desk. You need to leave this room, he said. Eliza didn't move. Tell me their names. Harland's eyes darkened. No, the knock came again, louder this time, like something pressing upward. Eliza whispered, they're still here. Harland didn't answer. He just looked at the floor like it might break open if he blinked too hard. Eliza bent down slowly, pressing her ear to the wooden boards. The sound wasn't random anymore. It had rhythm. It had pattern. Like it was trying to form words without air. Harland grabbed her arm again, more force this time. Enough, he said. Eliza pulled away. You hear it too. Harland didn't deny it. That was the answer. Eliza stepped back, breath shaking. This house is lying, she said. Harland's voice went quiet. So are the people in it. Then everything stopped. No knocking. No movement. Just silence so deep it felt wrong. Eliza stood in the middle of it, realizing the silence was not peace. It was waiting. Harland opened the door. Out, he said. Eliza walked past him slowly, but before she left, she looked back at the floor one more time. The wood was still, but she knew now it was not empty beneath it. Something was listening from below. And it already knew she believed it was real. Eliza didn't go back to her room. She stayed in the hallway outside the office, leaning against the wall like she was trying to feel if it would speak again. Her hands were cold. The house felt awake in a way it hadn't before, not loud, just aware. Behind her, Jonah approached slowly. You're still here, he said. Eliza didn't look at him. I can't unhear it. Jonah glanced toward the office door. You shouldn't try. Eliza finally turned. Everyone keeps saying that. Nobody says why. Jonah hesitated, then stepped closer. Because it starts knowing you back. Eliza frowned. What does that mean? Jonah shook his head. It learns your voice. Your memories. Things you don't say out loud. Eliza whispered, that's not possible. Jonah gave a short laugh with no humor in it. It is here. A distant knock came again, faint but clean, like it traveled through wood and bone. Eliza stiffened. Did you hear that? Jonah nodded once. Yeah. That was worse than denial. That meant it was getting stronger. Eliza stepped forward toward the wall beside the office. It knows my name, she said. Jonah grabbed her arm lightly. Don't talk to it. Eliza looked at him. It talks to me first. Jonah let go slowly. That's how it gets in. Eliza turned back to the wall. Who are you? She whispered. No answer. Then, softly, like breath pressed through cracks, you came back. Eliza froze. I never came here before, she said. Jonah whispered behind her, don't answer it. But Eliza couldn't stop. What do you want? Silence stretched too long. Then the voice came again, closer now, almost inside her ear. You already know. Eliza stepped back. No, I don't. The wall gave a small creak, like something shifting inside it. Jonah muttered, this is bad. Eliza turned to him. You know what this is. Jonah looked away. I know what it does. Footsteps came from the far end of the hall. Harland. He stopped when he saw them. I told you to leave it alone, he said sharply. Eliza didn't move. It's not alone, she replied. Harlan's eyes flicked to the wall. Just for a second too fast. There's nothing there, he said. Eliza stepped forward. Then why does it speak? Harlan's jaw tightened. You're tired. You're hearing things. Eliza laughed once, short and broken. Jonah heard it too. Silence dropped. Jonah stepped back slightly. Harlan looked at him. Go, Harlan said. Jonah hesitated. Sir, Harlan repeated louder, go. Jonah left quickly, glancing back once like he wanted to warn her but couldn't. Now it was just them. Eliza and Harlan in the narrow hall with the wall between them like a third presence. Eliza spoke first. What is behind it? Harlan didn't answer. You said it knows everyone, she continued. So who else has heard it? Harlan's voice dropped. Stop asking. Eliza stepped closer. I heard a woman's voice today. That changed something in him. His face tightened slightly. You didn't. Eliza didn't blink. I did. Harlan shook his head. There are no women down there. Eliza whispered, down where? Harlan didn't answer. The silence grew heavy again. Then the wall knocked. Once. Twice. 3 times. Perfect rhythm. Harlan flinched. Eliza saw it clearly now. You know it, she said quietly. Harlan's voice cracked slightly. You don't understand what it is. Eliza stepped closer. Then tell me. Harlan looked at her for a long moment, like deciding whether truth would destroy her faster than lies. Then he said, almost too low to hear, it remembers. The word hit the air differently. Eliza frowned. Remembers what? Harlan didn't answer. The wall knocked again, slower this time. Not random. Intentional. Like it was listening to them talk about it. Eliza pressed her hand to the wood. It was warm now. Too warm. Jonah's voice echoed faintly from somewhere far down the hall, calling Harlan's name, but Harlan didn't move. He just watched Eliza's hand on the wall like he was watching something already lost. The voice came again, clearer than before. Eliza. She pulled her hand back fast. Harlan closed his eyes for a second like he expected this. Eliza whispered, it knows me better than you do. Harlan didn't deny it. That silence was the confirmation. The wall gave one final knock, softer now, almost like a sigh. And then it stopped completely, leaving the house too quiet again, like it was waiting for her to decide what she was going to do next. Eliza moved through the house after midnight holding the stolen key tight in her palm. The halls felt different now, like they were watching her breathe. She reached the basement door at the end of the corridor and stopped for a second. No sound came from below, but silence here was never empty. She unlocked the door and stepped down slowly into the dark wooden stairs creaking under her weight. Halfway down she heard it again, the voice, but weaker, broken, like it had been. Waiting too long, you finally came, it whispered. Eliza froze, gripping the railing. Who are you? She asked into the dark. A soft laugh came from below, not cruel, just tired, like someone who had stopped resisting years ago. They call me Marrow, the voice said. Eliza stepped down faster. Now what is this place? You already walked into it, Marrow replied. The stairs ended in a low stone room lit by a single hanging bulb that flickered like it was dying. Chains ran across the walls, and in the center, she saw her, a woman sitting on the ground. Wrists bound, ankles chained, head slightly tilted like she had been waiting without hope. Eliza whispered, oh my God. The woman looked up, eyes dull but alive. Eliza stepped back. You came back, Marrow said softly. I don't know you, Eliza replied. Marrow gave a small broken smile. Yes you do. Who did this to you? Everyone who lives upstairs. Harlan. He keeps the door shut. But he was not the first. Eliza dropped to her knees and grabbed the chains, pulling hard until her palms burned. Don't, Marrow said. I'm getting you out, Eliza said. No one leaves this place. Not really. From above a faint knock echoed through stone. What is that? Eliza asked. The house breathing. Marrow said. This is not a house. Yes it is, and it remembers every name it takes. Eliza looked at her hand, shaking. No, this stops now. It already started before you were born. Marrow said. I don't believe you. Belief doesn't matter here, only what's buried. The chains rattled by themselves as another knock shook. Dust from the ceiling. Harlan knows. About you, Harland is just the door, not the keeper. Eliza pulled harder, ignoring pain, blood starting to stain her fingers. Stop or it wakes faster. I don't care. You will when it learns your voice completely. Eliza paused for a fraction of a second. It already said your name differently, didn't it? Yes, it did. Then you were already inside it. From above, Harland's voice shouted down the stairs, telling her to stop immediately. I'm not leaving her, not until you're free. Then you stay. When it comes, the room suddenly felt colder. The bulb flickered faster. What is coming? The thing that learned your name. Eliza finally snapped, one chain loosening slightly, metal screaming. That's enough. Stop now, not until you're free. Marrow looked at her with something like fear. Freedom here is not escape, but his replacement. Footsteps rushed closer. Harland appeared at the doorway, breathing hard. Get away from her. I'm not done. You don't know what you're breaking. I already broke it when I came down here. Marrow whispered too late now. It knows you helped me, then let it know. Eliza, please. The chain suddenly went still, as if listening. It is already inside the walls upstairs. Eliza stood slowly and looked at both of them. I am not afraid of it. You should be. From below, the chains gave a single violent shake. It's here. Eliza listened as the house went completely silent again, but this silence was different. It felt like a held breath, waiting for something to decide whether to speak or swallow everything whole again. Eliza stood in the center of it, knowing now that whatever was below. Eliza didn't move for a moment after Marrow spoke. The word replacement stayed in the air like dust that refused to fall. Harland stood at the doorway, breathing hard, eyes locked on the chains. You need to come out now, he said. Eliza didn't look at him. No. Marrow lifted her head slightly. He's too late, she whispered. Harland snapped back, shut up. Eliza stepped closer to Marrow. What did she mean by replacement? Harland shook his head fast. It's not real. It's not. This is not what you think it is. Eliza turned sharply. Then tell me what it is. Silence. Harland's jaw tightened like he was holding something down inside himself. From above, a faint knock echoed through the stone ceiling. Once. Then again. Slower. Harland's face changed immediately. Eliza noticed it. You hear it, she said. Harland didn't answer. Marrow whispered, it's waking up because I'm speaking too much. Eliza looked at her. What is it? Marrow hesitated, then said quietly, the house is not a place. It is a cycle. Eliza frowned. A cycle of what? Marrow looked at the chains around her wrists. Women. The word landed heavy. Harland stepped forward. Stop, he said sharply. Marrow ignored him. Every few years it chooses one voice to hold it together. One woman stays below so the rest above can forget. Eliza's breath slowed. That's not possible. Marrow gave a tired laugh. You're standing in it. Harland moved fast now, grabbing Eliza's arm. We're leaving. Eliza pulled away. No. Harland's voice cracked slightly. You don't understand what happens if you stay. Eliza stepped between him and Marrow. Then explain it. Harland looked at her for a long time, like the answer was stuck somewhere behind his teeth. The house feeds, he finally said. Eliza shook her head. On what? Harland didn't answer. Marrow did. On memory. On silence. On what people refuse to say out loud. Another knock echoed above them, louder now. The ceiling dust fell slightly. The sound wasn't random anymore. It was focused. Listening. Eliza crouched back down at the chains. I'm getting you out. Marrow shook her head slowly. No. Eliza paused. What do you mean no? Marrow leaned forward just slightly. If you break them, it won't end. It will change hands. Harland stepped closer. She's telling you the truth for once. Eliza looked up at him. So you knew this? Harland didn't deny it fast enough. That silence was enough. Eliza stood slowly. How many? She asked. Harland frowned. How many what? Eliza's voice dropped. How many women? Another knock hit above them, sharper. Marrow whispered, don't ask that. Eliza repeated louder, how many? Harland finally looked away. Enough, he said. The word broke something in the room. Eliza stepped back. Enough to do what? Harlan's voice dropped. Enough to keep it quiet. Merrill closed her eyes. It remembers every one of them. Eliza turned toward the stone walls. Then they're still here. Merrill nodded slightly. Not alive. Not gone. Harlan stepped forward again, more desperate now. You don't fix this by freeing her. Eliza looked at him. Then what do I do? Harlan hesitated. You walk away. Eliza gave a short laugh. After I heard it say my name? Silence. Above them, the knocking stopped completely. That was worse than before. The air changed. Even Harlan felt it. He whispered, "It's listening now." Merrow suddenly tensed. "No," she said softly. "It's deciding." Eliza stood still. Deciding what? Merrow looked at her with something close to fear. Who replaces me? The bulb overhead flickered once. Twice. Then held steady. Harlan grabbed Eliza again, harder this time. We leave. Now. Eliza didn't move. If I leave, does it stop? Merrow shook her head. No one leaves it. Not really. Silence filled the room again, thick and waiting. Eliza looked at the chains one more time, then at Merrow, then at Harlan. For the first time, she understood none of them were standing outside it anymore. And somewhere above, the house was no longer knocking. It was waiting for her to decide who would stay next. Eliza didn't move when Harlan pulled her toward the stairs. Her feet stayed planted like the ground itself was holding her back. Let go, she said. Harlan didn't. You don't belong down here, he said sharply. Merrow's voice cut through the damp air from the chains. None of us did. Harlan snapped, Shut up. Eliza yanked her arm free. Stop talking like I'm a guest in my own nightmare, she said. The words hit harder than she meant them to. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the house changed. A low vibration ran through the stone walls. Not a sound exactly, more like pressure. Eliza felt it in her teeth first. Then in her chest. Harlan froze. No, he whispered. Merrow lifted her head slowly. It's awake, she said. From above, the knocking returned. Not 3 this time. Many. All at once. Scattered. Like hands testing every wall of the house upstairs. Eliza stepped back. That's not the same, she said. Harlan's voice dropped. It's spreading. The ceiling cracked slightly. Dust fell in a thin line. The sound wasn't loud, but it was everywhere. The house upstairs was no longer silent. It was searching. Eliza looked at Harlan. What did you build here? Harlan didn't answer. Merrow did. He didn't build it. He inherited it. Harlan turned sharply. Don't. Merrow ignored him. Every generation thinks it's control. It's not. It's maintenance. Eliza frowned. Maintenance of what? Merrow's eyes flicked upward. Of something that refuses to stay buried. A sudden slam echoed above them. Something heavy hitting wood. Then another. Harlan flinched this time. Eliza saw it clearly now. They're not knocking, she said slowly. They're trying to get in. Merrow nodded slightly. Or out. Silence followed that. Eliza stepped closer to the chains again. If I free you, does it stop? Merrow shook her head immediately. No, Eliza frowned. Then what does it do? Merrow looked at her carefully. It chooses again. Harlan's voice broke in, desperate now. You don't listen to her. She's been down here too long. Eliza turned to him. And you've been up there too long. That shut him up. Above them, the knocking became rhythmic again. Slower. Organized. Like it was learning patience. Then a voice slipped through the floorboards upstairs. Not clear. Not fully formed. Just a fragment. Eliza's name. Harlan's face tightened instantly. Don't respond, he said. Eliza whispered, it already knows I'm here. Marrow said quietly, it knows all of us now. The lights flickered above the stairwell. For a second, Eliza saw shadows moving across the opening. Not footsteps. Something dragging. Harlan stepped forward suddenly. We leave now, he said again, but this time it sounded less like command and more like fear. Eliza didn't move. If it's spreading, where do we go? Harlan hesitated. That hesitation was enough. From above came a new sound. Not knocking. Scraping. Slow, deliberate, a crosswood like nails dragging through memory. Marrow whispered, it's not upstairs anymore. Eliza looked at her. What does that mean? Marrow answered softly, it's inside the house now. Every part of it. Harlan backed up one step. That's not possible. Marrow gave a faint, tired smile. It doesn't care what's possible. The scraping grew closer. Not from above anymore. From the walls beside them. Eliza pressed her hand against the stone. It was warm again. Harlan did the same and pulled back immediately. It's moving through it, he said. Eliza turned slowly. Then we're already inside it too. No one denied her. Marrow pulled slightly against the chains. Metal groaned. Listen, she said. The sound stopped for a second. Everything stopped. Even breathing felt suspended. Then, very clearly, from all directions at once, Eliza heard her name. Not one voice. Many. Overlapping. Different tones. Different ages. Harlan stepped back again. No, he whispered. Eliza didn't move. They're all saying it, she said quietly. Marrow closed her eyes. It remembers you now, she said. The house gave one final deep sound, like a breath being taken in. Long, patient. And then it held it. Waiting. Eliza stood in the center of the stone room with Harlan frozen near the stairs and Marrow still bound, realizing nothing in this place was trying to scare her anymore. It was recognizing her. Eliza didn't step back this time. The sound of her name still lingered in the stone room like it had nowhere else to go. Harlan stood near the stairs, breathing hard, watching her like she was already halfway gone. You need to leave now, he said again, but his voice had lost its force. Eliza didn't look at him. Not without her, she said, turning toward Marrow. The chains around Marrow's wrists were still, but her eyes were open now, fully aware. You don't understand what you're trying to do, Marrow said quietly. Eliza stepped closer. Then explain it like I'm already dead, she replied. Harlan snapped, stop saying things like that. Eliza grabbed one of the chains. It burned cold against her skin. If I break this, she comes out, Eliza said. Marrow shook her head. If you break it, something else comes with me. Eliza didn't let go. Something like what? Silence stretched. Harlan answered instead, his voice low and tight. Like everything it's been holding back. Eliza finally looked at him. So you're saying she's the lock? Harlan didn't deny it. That was answer enough. From above came a heavy crash. Not knocking anymore. Impact. Wood breaking somewhere upstairs. The house shuddered slightly. Dust fell from the ceiling in thin lines. Eliza didn't flinch. It's already moving, she said. Marrow whispered, it never stayed still. It just learned patience. Eliza tightened her grip on the chain. Then we stopped waiting. Harlan stepped forward fast. No. You don't touch that. Eliza turned sharply. Why? Harland hesitated. That hesitation again. Because you don't know what replaces her. Eliza looked back at Marrow. You said replacement before. Marrow nodded slowly. Someone always holds it. Always. Eliza's voice dropped. And if I break this? Marrow met her eyes. Then it chooses again. Immediately. A loud crack echoed upstairs. Something breaking deeper inside the house. Harland muttered, "It's spreading faster." Eliza didn't move. Then it's already too late for waiting. She pulled. The chain screamed against stone. Marrow winced but didn't stop her. Harland lunged forward. "Stop!" Eliza shouted back, "Help or get out of the way." He froze for half a second. That half second mattered. Eliza pulled again, harder. Metal strained. The sound filled the room like something alive being torn open. From above, the house answered with a low groan that rolled through every wall at once. Marrow whispered, "It's noticing." Eliza didn't stop. Good. Harland grabbed her arm again, this time not to stop her, but to steady her. "If this goes wrong," he said through clenched teeth, "we don't fix it." Eliza looked at him. "Then don't let it go wrong." That was all she said. The chain snapped. The sound was sharp, final, like a door breaking open after years of pressure. Marrow's wrist dropped free. She gasped softly, more from shock than pain. Eliza stepped back immediately, watching closely. "Is it done?" she asked. Marrow didn't answer right away. She flexed her hand slowly, like she was remembering how it worked. Then she whispered, "No." The room went colder. From the broken chain, a sound started, not loud, not even physical at first, more like pressure forming into thought. Harland stepped back instinctively. "No," he said again, but softer this time. Marrow looked up slowly. "It heard me," she said. Eliza frowned. "It?" Marrow stood fully now for the first time, unsteady but upright. Not the house. What the house holds. Above them, everything upstairs stopped moving for a second. Even the distant chaos went silent. That silence was worse than noise. Eliza felt it in her chest. "What did we just do?" she asked. Marrow looked at her. "We changed who it was listening to." A deep sound rolled through the walls again, but this time it wasn't searching. It was focused. Harland whispered, "It picked up the signal." Eliza turned to him. "What signal?" He didn't answer fast enough. That was all she needed. Marrow took one step forward, unsteady. "It's coming down," she said. Eliza looked at the stairs. The darkness there felt different now, thicker, like it had weight. Harland backed up. "We should run." Eliza didn't move. "No," she said quietly. Marrow looked at her. "You don't understand." Eliza nodded once. "Then show me." The first sound came from the stairwell. Not footsteps. Something slower. Like the house itself shifting to make space. The walls around them trembled slightly, not collapsing, but adjusting. Harland whispered, "It's inside the structure now." Eliza stepped forward toward the stairs. "Then we meet it where it is." Marrow grabbed her wrist gently this time. "Once you see it fully, you don't unsee it." Eliza didn't pull away. "I already heard it fully." That made Marrow go quiet. The sound from above stopped completely. The house held still again. Waiting. Harland stood frozen between them, unable to decide which direction meant survival anymore. Eliza stared into the stairwell darkness and spoke softly, "Come down then." And somewhere inside the house, something answered by moving closer without making a sound at all. Eliza stood at the edge of the stairwell as the silence thickened into something heavy and wrong. It wasn't empty anymore. It was waiting. Marrow's grip on her wrist loosened slightly but didn't let go completely. Harlan stood behind them, frozen in place like even his breath was being measured by the house. "Don't go down," he said finally, but it sounded less like a warning and more like memory. Eliza didn't look back. "It's already coming up," she said quietly. Marrow nodded once. "It's never been fully down there," she whispered. "Just held." From below came a soft sound, not footsteps, not chains, something closer to movement inside walls themselves. Like wood remembering how to breathe. Harlan stepped forward half a step then stopped. "We can still close it," he said quickly. Eliza finally turned her head slightly. "You mean lock her back in?" Harlan didn't answer. That was enough. Marrow released Eliza's wrist. "It doesn't go back," she said. "Not after this." Eliza looked at her. "Then what happens?" Marrow's eyes were tired now, not scared. "It finishes choosing." The stairwell darkened further, not because of light, but because the space itself felt deeper than it should. Something was filling it without moving. Eliza stepped forward onto the first stair. Harlan snapped, "Eliza, stop." She didn't. "You knew this would happen," she said without turning. Harlan's voice broke slightly. "I didn't know it would wake up this fast." Eliza paused for a fraction of a second. "So you did know?" A sound rose from below again, clearer now. Not one voice. Many. Layered, overlapping, speaking her name in broken rhythm. Eliza exhaled slowly. "It's calling me," she said. Marrow answered softly, "It always does that at the end." Harlan moved closer, desperate now. "Don't answer it." Eliza shook her head slightly. "I didn't answer before," she said. "It still learned me anyway." She took another step down. The temperature shifted immediately, colder, but not natural cold. Intentional cold. Like something noticing her descent. The voices below grew quieter as she moved, almost like listening back. Harlan reached out but didn't touch her. "If you go all the way down, there's no coming back," he said. Eliza finally looked at him. "There never was." Marrow stepped forward now, voice steady. "It won't stop with me gone." Eliza nodded. "I know." Marrow's expression changed slightly. "Then why break it?" Eliza paused, then said, "Because someone has to see what it is." That answer made Harlan go still. He looked away like that was the part he feared most. Another step down. The air changed again. Heavier. The sound of the house above faded like distance being rewritten. Now everything was below. The voices stopped calling her name and started listening instead. Eliza felt it clearly now. Not fear. Recognition. She spoke into the dark, "I'm here." No response immediately. Then, softly, from everywhere at once, the answer came. Not words. Just presence reacting. Marrow whispered from above, "It's decided." Harlan asked sharply, "What did it choose?" Marrow didn't look at him. "She knows already." Eliza reached the bottom step. The space opened wider than it should have been, like the basement extended beyond the house's shape. Chains hung from parts of the stone, but not attached to anything anymore. Just memory of holding. The air pulsed slightly, like breathing slowed to match hers. She stepped off the last stair. And then she saw it. Not a creature. Not a body. Something layered into the structure itself. Faces that were not fully faces. Voices that were not fully voices. And at the center, absence shaped like a throne that had been used too many times. The sound of her name stopped completely. Harlan's voice echoed faintly from above, "Come back." Marrow's voice followed softer, "Don't run." Eliza stood still in the middle of it all, realizing both were wrong. It wasn't about going back or staying. It was about what the house was now looking at her as. The presence shifted. And for the first time, it spoke without her name. It said, "Stay." Eliza stood in front of the thing that wasn't a body and wasn't a voice, and for the first time, nothing in the house was calling her name. That silence felt worse than everything before it. Harlan's voice echoed faintly from the stairwell above. "Eliza, come back up." Marrow followed, softer, almost broken. "Don't listen to him." Eliza didn't move. "I'm already here," she said quietly. The presence in front of her shifted slightly, like it was adjusting to her certainty. It didn't speak again immediately. It didn't need to. Harlan stepped onto the first stair, one step down, then stopped. "We can still end this," he said. Eliza turned her head slightly without looking away from the center. "You said that before." Harlan's voice tightened. "Because it's true." Marrow answered from above, "No, it's not." Harlan snapped back, "You don't get to decide that." Marrow didn't raise her voice. "Neither do you." Silence swallowed the stairwell between them. Eliza finally spoke into the space below. "If I stay here, what happens?" The answer didn't come as words. It came as pressure. A feeling of being seen from every direction at once. Then, slowly, something formed into thought. Not spoken. Delivered. "Stay." Eliza exhaled. "That's not an answer." The presence did not argue. It simply continued existing around her like it had always been waiting for her to notice it properly. Marrow stepped down one step behind Harlan now. "It's offering you the same thing it offered all of us," she said. Eliza finally glanced back slightly. "And what is that?" Marrow's voice was steady but tired. "A place that doesn't end. But doesn't let you leave either." Harlan shook his head. "That's not what it is." Marrow turned to him slowly. "Then what is it?" Harlan hesitated. That hesitation answered more than words could. Eliza turned fully back toward the presence. "You want me to stay," she said. The silence responded like a slow breath. Harlan stepped down again, more urgently now. "Don't agree with it." Eliza ignored him. "Why me?" she asked. The presence shifted. Not louder. Closer. Not physical distance but understanding collapsing inward. Marrow whispered, "Because you heard it clearly. That's all it ever needs." Harlan reached the midpoint of the stairs. "It's lying to you," he said sharply. Eliza shook her head slightly. "It didn't lie before." Harlan froze. That landed harder than anything else. Marrow added quietly, "It doesn't lie. It changes you until you don't need truth anymore." Eliza stood still, breathing slow. "And what happens to her?" she asked. Marrow didn't ask who. She knew. "She stays too," she said softly. "Or she becomes the next part of it." The presence shifted again, and this time the air felt heavier, like approval without emotion. Eliza took one slow step forward. Harlan shouted, "Eliza, stop," but his voice didn't carry the same control anymore. It sounded like someone trying to hold on to something already falling. Eliza spoke without turning back. "You built this," she said. Harlan's voice cracked. "I tried to contain it." Marrow laughed once, quiet and bitter. "You fed it." Eliza reached the edge of what felt like a boundary, though there was no visible line. Beyond it, the structure of the space bent slightly, not breaking, just waiting. The presence inside it responded immediately to her proximity. Not aggressive. Not welcoming. Certain. "Stay." The word repeated without sound, like it had learned her understanding of language and reduced itself to intention. Marrow stepped down another step, closer now. "If you cross that," she said, "you don't come back as yourself." Eliza nodded once. "I know." Harlan's voice dropped lower. "Please." That word didn't fit him. It made the air feel different. Eliza finally looked back at him fully. "You didn't save them," she said quietly. Harlan didn't deny it. That was the final confirmation. She turned forward again. The presence opened, not physically, but conceptually, like space recognizing permission. Eliza stepped into it. For a moment, everything went silent. Even Harlan stopped speaking. Even Marrow stopped breathing. The house above, the stairs, the chains, the walls, all of it felt far away, like it belonged to another version of reality. Eliza stood inside the center of it and felt something settle around her like recognition completing a loop. Then the presence spoke again, not as a command this time, but as alignment. Stay. Eliza didn't answer with words. She just exhaled slowly and didn't step back. Above, Harlan fell to his knees on the stairs without fully understanding why. Marrow closed her eyes, not in relief, but in recognition. And deep inside the structure of the house, something that had been waiting longer than memory finally stopped searching. Eliza stood inside the presence and nothing in the house felt separate anymore. The walls, the stairs, the voices, even Harlan and Marrow above them all felt like distant pressure points on the same body. The word stay no longer echoed. It simply existed, everywhere at once, inside her thoughts without sound. She didn't move. She wasn't sure she still could. Above, Harlan was still on the stairs, one hand on the wood, breathing uneven. Eliza, he called again, but his voice was thin now, stripped of authority. Marrow stood a few steps above him, watching the darkness below like it had finally stopped pretending. She's already in it, Marrow said quietly. Harlan shook his head hard. No. She's still down there. Marrow answered, that's not what I meant. Below, Eliza felt something shift around her, not movement but understanding settling into place. The presence was no longer reaching for her. It was listening through her. She whispered, almost without realizing, what am I now? No answer came in words. Instead, she felt memories that weren't hers flicker at the edges of her mind. Other women. Other names. Other moments of standing exactly where she stood. Harlan's voice cracked through the stairwell again, louder this time. Eliza, come back up. Please. The word please hit harder than everything else. Marrow looked at him. You can't pull her out, she said. Not anymore. Harlan stood abruptly. There has to be a way back. Marrow shook her head slowly. There was. Before she listened fully. Inside the space below, Eliza finally took a slow breath. It felt like the first decision she had made without being pushed. If I stay, she said softly, does it stop hurting people? The presence responded not with speech, but with images breaking apart and reforming. Houses. Women. Silence. Repetition. A cycle without beginning or end. Then, one clear feeling surfaced through it all. No. Eliza nodded slightly, like she had expected that answer. So it doesn't end, she whispered. The presence shifted. Not disagreement. Confirmation. Harlan shouted again from above, voice breaking now. Don't do this. You don't have to. Marrow closed her eyes. She already chose. Harlan turned on her. You did this. Marrow looked at him calmly. No, she said. We all did. Eliza stepped forward one small step deeper into the center. The space reacted immediately, not tightening, but stabilizing around her. Like it had been incomplete before this moment. She spoke again, clearer this time. I don't want it to hurt them anymore.